Happy Tuesday, all you minties. Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition. And join me today for an advanced look at all these collected editions coming out from Marvel Comics this week. So, let's get started. Before getting started, a huge thank you to David Gabriel and the folks at Marvel for sending us advanced copies of these collected editions. All these books are due out in the direct market and book market on January 26th. 25th, really depending on where you get your books. So here we have a Treasury edition, an Epic collection, a big fat trade. I love those because they're not exactly epics, but they're fat enough to be considered epics in my opinion. And then a couple books that I got to read that I've been waiting for to be collected in trade paperback format. So let's go ahead and get started with the Marvels. First up is The Marvels. This is Kurt Busiek's latest work for Marvel Comics, drawn by Hillary Sinner. And this book retails for $17.99 and has 144 pages. All the covers are provided by Alex the Man Ross. And as you can see here, we have characters just ranging from the different decades of Marvel Comics. Some Golden Age characters, some Modern Age characters, and some characters we've never seen up until this series. So this particular trade paperback is called The War in SIANCONG. And it collects the first 5 issues of the Marvels. So we have this character right here named Lady Lotus, who was a character that appeared in the pages of The Invaders, which was a series that's getting an omnibus treatment of a flashback team. And the entire series takes place like during World War II and afterwards. So even though it came out in the 70s, it was sort of like a flashback that these characters were already established in the Marvel 616 universe. So what this story does is it ties in all these characters through the different decades of Marvel Comics. And here are all your characters. Here's Lady Lotus. But here are most of the characters that come together. So you have Storm, you have the Golden Age Vision, Captain America, Iron Man, Arrow, Black Cat, the Human Torch. And this gentleman right here named Kevin Schumer. Sorry, not Schumer. Uncanny Omar talked pretty one day. And this new character right here that is calling herself Warbird. Now, Warbird is a name that has been used for other characters in the Marvel Universe, like a Shi'ar warrior. And of course, probably the most popular one is, it was Carol Danvers' codename during Kurt Busiek's run in Avengers. So it was after she was binary, but she wasn't quite Captain Marvel. She stopped being Miss Marvel. She went by Warbird. I always liked that name. So we have this new character named Warbird. We still don't know if she's good or bad. We really don't know where her alliance leans more towards. But all of these characters are kind of brought together because of this new villain right here named Threadneedle. Now, I mentioned somebody named Kevin Schumer, and it's this guy right here. Now, you're probably asking, what the hell is this guy doing with the Goblin Glider? Because that is the Goblin Glider, and as you can tell here in his workshop, there's all these little different things that he has access to, like Mole Man's glasses. Like, what kind of character would have access to this? Well, it's because he actually has ties to someone in the Marvel Universe, and I thought that was a really cool way of bringing a new character forward. He's not the only new character, as I mentioned. There's also a Warbird in here. This ties into the Eternals, it ties into the Shi'ar, and it keeps going back and forth between different times. Like, you know, you have something that happened 18 years ago, 10 years ago, 3 years ago, and then like 10 days from now. And that's what I love about Kurt Busiek, is that he's able to take all these characters and write them like, hey, he's been writing them all these decades. And he's one of the few writers that I know off the top of my head that could probably do that. Not a lot of writers could handle all these characters in history of the Marvel Universe. And it's good to see Arrow hang with the big dogs. I mean, this is a character that's, you know, first appeared a couple of years ago. She was part of the Agents of Atlas. And then she became just... the only times I would ever see her were in tie-in to some kind of event. So it's nice to see her come and hang out with like Captain America and Storm. And it's also nice to see that Busiek isn't using Wolverine, but decided to go with Storm. Nice touch. Now, there is something interesting that happens towards the end of this that I didn't see coming, and I'm kind of curious to see where Busiek plans to go with this particular character. Like I mentioned, the book is $17.99. It has 144 pages. As far as the extras in the back, It does continue. It's still an ongoing series. I forgot to mention that, so I'm censoring that last page. But here are your variants, your character designs by Alex Ross. There's Threadneedle. And Threadneedle has actual ties to another obscure Marvel character, Ace. For anybody that remembers Ace from the 80s, he was like your Michael Jackson Prince type of character. I'm not kidding. He really was. That's the way every artist drew him back then. But what's interesting about Threadneedle is that Threadneedle reminds me of another character by Kurt Busiek. And that character's found in the pages of Astro City. I don't know if that was on purpose or not. Next up is X-Men, HELLFIRE GALA. So this is the HELLFIRE GALA. However, it's just part of the HELLFIRE GALA. It's the first part. This book retails for $17.99. It has 144 pages. And in here, it collects, like I mentioned, the first half of the HELLFIRE GALA. So you have Marauders, number 21, X-Men 21, Planet Size X-Men number 1, which is a big double-side issue, and then Sword number 6. But it also collects part of Classic X-Men number 7, which is the very earliest HELLFIRE GALA, written by Chris Claremont, of course, John Bolton providing the artwork. But it's a big party, is what exactly the HELLFIRE GALA is. There are lots of things that happen in there, like a murder mystery. The new X-Men are announced in this particular... Actually, you'll find it in this trade paperback. So it's... I know I'll see people like, wait a minute, this entire event is nothing but a big party so they can show off costumes? Sort of. I mean, it's a little more than that. Like I said, there's a couple other things that happen in here. And here we go. This is the HELLFIRE GALA, the Classic X-Men number 7 issue. But here you have the X-Men mingle with other characters from the Marvel Universe, like Captain America, some of the other Avengers, like Doctor Strange there. So you actually see some confrontations in here because, you know, it's a mutant island. Krakoa is for everybody. So how do the rest of the Avengers feel about some of these villains now being part of this island? Well, it's, like I said, a big mystery. Murder mystery later on. Here's the Planet-Size X-Men. And like I said, this only has the first half of that event. If you want to see what the rest of the artwork looks like, we did, the Astonishing Melanie and I did an overview of the oversized hardcover, but this is the trade paperback version. Of course, there's maps and essays, because what is this era without that stuff? And here is the issue of Sword. Next up is Winter Guard, Operation Snowblind. So this is a series I didn't even know existed. It just wrapped up in December. And this does collect all 4 issues of the Winter Guard Operation Snowblind and the one-shot Widowmaker, Red Guardian, and Yelena Belova. So you have Ryan Cady writing the 4-issue miniseries, and then Jan Bazaldua doing the art. There is a prelude artist here, and Devin Grayson writing the one-shot, and Michelle Bendini doing the art for the Widowmakers one-shot. So here's the cover to issue number 1, and then the variant over here on the left-hand side. That's how some of the variants are collected through this series. So this takes place after the events in Jason Aaron's Avengers, where She-Hulk is kidnapped by the Winter Guard. As a matter of fact, they kind of throw that in here. So I'm wondering if this series was supposed to come out early in 2020, then the pandemic happened, so they had to postpone it, or if it was always supposed to be like this, because I feel like the prelude here, where you have Captain Marvel questioning Yelena, and then Black Widow breaking her out, I don't know, it just didn't feel like it was supposed to be there. But I'm glad it's there, because they talk about this character known as Red Widow, that's part of the Winter Guard, that is betraying the Winter Guard and killing members of the Winter Guard. So Yelena has this flashback from 3 weeks prior to that prelude, why her and Red Guardian were betraying the Winter Guard to begin with. So you get to see a bunch of classic characters in here, like Darkstar, Ursa Major, Crimson Dynamo, Vanguard, and you get to see some newer characters, like the Red Widow and who she is and who she's working for, because she is now leading this team of Winter Guard that are going after Red Guardian and the White Widow, or Yelena rather. So You probably noticed some cool cat right here sitting down. Who that is? I thought that twist was a really nice touch. So to me, this series was a lot of fun and completely unexpected. I didn't know where it was going to go, and I kind of want to see more of it. And Basel Dua's artwork is freaking awesome. I really dig the artwork here. Now, the other story in here is the one-shot. So this is Widowmakers, Red Guardian, and Yelena Belova. So it's both of them teaming up. And keep in mind, I'm sure they did this because of the movie and because of Yelena playing a big role in Hawkeye, the latest TV show. But their origins are a little bit different in the comics, both Red Guardian and Yelena, because, how do I put this? Red Guardian and Black Widow were married at one time in the comics. So it's a little bit different than you see in the movie. So don't expect like movie type of relationships. The book retails for $17.99 and it has 136 pages. As far as the extras, you saw the variants on the opposite side of the normal covers, but here's some other variants. And of course I censored that final page. That is an awesome cover. Symbiote Spider-Man Crossroads. This is Peter David and Greg Land's wonderful series that continues into another mini-series. It's not an ongoing series, but I like to think that this is Marvel's way of giving Peter David a Symbiote Spider-Man ongoing series. It's been a hell of a ride to read this stuff. You've had tie-ins with, what was it, Absolute Carnage or King in Black. So this is the next mini-series taking place in the past in Spider-Man's past when, Jeez, that's twice. Sorry, I got a little bit of a head cold. But no excuses. Spider-Man's past, where he donned the black costume, the alien costume. Of course, it was before he found out it was an alien and before Venom. So this particular story is really interesting because it takes place during Crossroads. And that's the Hulk story where Doctor Strange sends Hulk into another dimension. And Hulk spends quite a number of, well, a long time in this dimension. So even though this is a flashback series, we do have some newer characters that show up in here. And what ends up happening is, of course, Spider-Man gets sent to this particular dimension. Black Cat goes and gets the help of Doctor Strange to go and retrieve her friend because, you know, it's his fault. Now, something interesting happens in here because since they're in this dimension, the symbiote costume starts to change. And it looks, I'm sure, really familiar to a lot of people here. But I thought that was a nice addition to the Crossroads story. And even though the story is considered retconning, which not really, all it is just adding more to this past story, I love the fact that he keeps it so intense. Like, even though you know where these stories are going to lead, you know Hulk eventually comes back, you know Spider-Man eventually throws away the black costume only for it to come back and try to take over him. And then we get the whole Venom thing. But even though you know where these stories are going, it's still fun to read. And you're still at the edge of your seat trying to figure out how this cliffhanger is going to solve itself. You also have nice additions in here of Moon Boy and Devil Dinosaur. Hell yes. So glad to see those characters. And honestly, Greg Land, you know, I don't mind his artwork in here. I know he's kind of divisive with fans. People either hate his stuff or love it. In this particular miniseries, or in this particular Symbiote Spider-Man series, he's been kicking ass. And yes, he uses light boxes. I think we all know that by now. But for some reason, some of it works, and then sometimes it doesn't work. I was a big fan of his cross-gen stuff when he was doing a Sojourn. And I didn't mind the light box technique back then. And then there are things, of course, he did with the Ultimate Universe that I was like, oh, yeah, those faces all look alike. And they all came from, well, adult material on the internet. Anyway, this book has 120 pages, retails for $15.99, and has the 5-issue miniseries, Symbiote Spider-Man Crossroads. Let's look at the back here for some extras. So the ending does leave you wanting more, and leaves you with enough room for Peter David to keep writing these particular stories. Because he can shoehorn the Black Suit Spider-Man into any series during this time. And here are the variants, of course, censoring that final page. I really wish some of these were splash pages, like big size, instead of these thumbnails. Really like that David Baldeón. Reminds me of the John Byrne picture. And this one here by Philip Tan is awesome too. Here's for all you spine watchers. all the spines of this week's books. And at this moment, I just want to remind everybody to hit that like button, please. That does help with our YouTube algorithm and our channel keep growing. Conan, The People of the Black Circle and Other Stories. So if you've been picking up Conan Chronicles, their epic collections, those are the reprints of the Dark Horse era of Conan. And these particular stories in here are not collected in those epics, and I don't think they're going to be, just based on the way they've been collecting other epic collections or other miniseries around this time. So this collects a lot of little stories from Savage Sword of Conan. So this does collect The People of the Black Circle 1 through 4, Children of the Sun, Conan Exiles, and then material from Dark Horse Presents number 21, and then Robert E. Howard's Savage Sword 1 through 4 and 6 through 10. So the first story in here is the miniseries by Fred Van Lente, who is one of the most underrated writers, underappreciated writers. He's was a big part of the Incredible Hercules series, and went on to do a bunch of Conan stories, and did was it Marvel Zombies 4 and 5, and then this phenomenal artist right here, which I'm not sure why Ariel Olivetti never blew up as much as he deserved to. His painted artwork, his what I like to call almost like computer-generated painted artwork, reminds me a lot of Frank Frazetta, and I'm sure it's on purpose why they got him to do this particular miniseries. So this particular miniseries, actually Conan doesn't show up until about 2/3. There he is. He comes in and kidnaps this one lady right here who's supposed to be heir to the throne after her brother gets murdered. And of course he's being chased by a bunch of other people that are after him and her. And there's a lot of plot twist in this one here. Fred Van Lente does a kick-ass type of Conan story. But the main focus here is this beautiful artwork here by Olivetti. Don't know why they haven't gotten him to do anything for modern Conan. I would love to see his take on Savage Avengers or the King Conan series that Jason Aaron's working on currently, or just Conan, any Conan series in general. Here's Children of the Sun. This is a little story here by Michael Avon Oeming, who not only writes it but supplies the artwork. And then we get into the Savage Sword stories. So these are all short stories here with different creators behind each one of these. I think this is, right here, Sean Phillips. Of course, he's blown up because of every book he's been on with Ed Brubaker. This is Philip Tan. Oh, you have Kevin McGuire. Kevin McGuire, the guy that did Justice League International, comes in and reminds me a little bit of Derek Robertson's artwork. And just some other various artists with different little short stories from Savage Sword. I think this is Aaron Lopresti right here, who's no stranger to drawing Conan, because he did do that, what was it, the Wonder Woman Conan series with Gail Simone, and then, of course, the extras. So you have some pinups here. For example, this one here is by Tony DeZuniga, who's no stranger to drawing Conan. Actually, there's quite a number of pinups by him back here. Then sketches and pencils artwork in here. The book retails for $39.99, and it has 234 pages. Next up is Marble Voices Legacy. So this one here is $24.99. And this is a really interesting project. This is it's 2 one-shots and then a series of essays and then a couple of other collections in here. So this collects Marble Voices number 1, Marble Voices Legacy, Fantastic Four number 119, Black Panther number 1, the 2016 series, the Ta-Nehisi Coates series, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur number 1, and then material from Black Panther 23 through 25 and Marble Voices number 1. So this project is a series of just collected works by diverse creators, most of them. Of course, you have like Stan Lee, John Buscema in here, but most of the stuff, especially with the one-shots like Legacy and Voices, those are all diverse creators, and they're just short little stories. Some of them are 3 to 4 pages, and they all vary. And they're all just different characters through the Marvel Universe. And then you have Legacy, which is the exact same thing. You have different creators. Like this, of course, here is drawn by the phenomenal Oliver Coppel. So that was one of my favorite things about this particular collection, is not looking at the credits back here, because you do have the credits towards the very beginning, who the writers are. But I like just to try to figure out who the artists are. The guys that did Sanford Green, those guys that did the, Bitter Root. They did a story in here that I thought was awesome, and I'm like, man, I'd like to see those guys work on X-Men. You can tell this is Ken Lashley just by the artwork, and that was one of my favorite things about this particular collection, or any kind of anthology like this. Then you have a lot of essays back here on the importance of these characters and their legacy in the Marvel Universe, and how a lot of these writers first found these characters and their stories in comic book format. Then you have a reprint here of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, which of course is a take on Moon Boy and Devil Dinosaur, characters created by Jack the King Kirby. But this is the story of, what is her name? Lunella? My daughter would kill me because she actually really liked this. Miss Lydia reviewed the first volume with me a couple of years ago. Man, she's getting older. Then you have Ta-Nehisi Coates' Black Panther in here. Then they collect this story here. This is the issue of Fantastic Four number 119. Down here, they tell you the importance of this. This is, of course, written by Roy Thomas at the time and Big John Buscema doing the artwork. But it was about the apartheid, which was taking place in Africa at the time. And it was a way for Marvel or Stan Lee to deal with social issues happening outside in the real world. And what he wanted to do was mirror them in the Marvel Universe. And of course, Don McGregor took it even further in his series when he was writing the Marvel Comics Presents issues of Black Panther. With the whole, his series was a little more in your face than this was. But that's why that's collected in here. And then you get the covers in the back. The book retails for $24.99 and has 200 pages. You have different artists drawing different characters from the entire Marvel Universe. And some of these, I think these were for Black History Month. Yeah, back here. And then an advertisement there for Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. Daredevil, the Man Without Fear, Going Out West. So this one reminds me when Curtis and I we had a list of Marvel Epic Collections. We didn't have the numbers or what was collected in them, and this was one of them. This is volume 5, by the way. We based it on the title that this would collect Daredevil 87 to I think we went to 105, but this actually collects Daredevil 87 through 107 and Avengers number 111 because it's part of that crossover. So the reason it's called Going Out West is because Daredevil and Black Widow decide we are bouncing from New York and we are heading out west. And of course, old villains return. You have the character of Electro with this newish costume. You have Mr. Fear show up. You have Kilgrave here, Purple Man. And then there's an actual team up between Purple Man and Electro. And then, yes, right here. I love these issues right here with Mr. Fear. Like, both of them are afraid of heights. And then you get to find out it's actually Mr. Fear that is messing with their lives. And I love the twist as to the revelation who Mr. Fear is. But the big thing about this particular run is that most of this is Daredevil and Black Widow. She played such a big role in Daredevil's comic that she got a title there for the first time. She'd been a character that was around for a long time, but this is the first time that she actually got a credit on the front page. I'm sure Marvel thought, well, maybe she could try to carry her own title, but the sales weren't there, I'm sure based on the sales of this, so they put her together with Daredevil. Now, it's interesting because she's had Epic Collections since she's had an Omnibus collection, and these classic stories from Daredevil and Black Widow weren't collected in there, because at the end of the day, they're still Daredevil stories. Jerry Conway's writing a lot of the stuff in here. We have Gene Colan towards the very beginning drawing most of Jerry Conway's stuff. And then you have Steve Gerber step in. And Steve Gerber introduces newer characters that I haven't seen in a long time. Like this guy right here, the Dark Messiah, and his friends. Yeah, these characters back here. And of course, it's still Daredevil and Black Widow. Now, there is a crossover with the Avengers, Avengers 111. It's all part of this particular story. And that also features the X-Men, because it's got Magneto there. And then we get to celebrate the 100th issue of Daredevil. Again, Steve Gerber, Gene Colan comes back to do the artwork. But then Gene Colan ends up leaving, and then you have a bunch of fill-in artists at first. You have a Chris Claremont story in here as well. And it's a part of the Daredevil series that hasn't been collected in any kind of format outside of the Marvel Masterworks. And some of those are long out of print. And for anybody that collects Marvel Masterworks, you all know how expensive those books get. They get ridiculously high. Here is the fight against Kraven the Hunter. Of course, that's long before the Kraven's Last Hunt storyline. Oh, man, I forgot about the Screamer. Yeah. So this is the Moondragon appears here. But there's another character, that obscure character, that appears through these pages. And there he is, Angar, the Screamer. Captain Marvel shows up, Moondragon shows up, and it has ties to the cosmic universe. Just thought it was interesting to start it here in a Daredevil story. As far as the extras, not that many like there have been in the past, but still you have some original artwork here by Gene Colan. You have original cover art. This is a copy of Daredevil 100 that was given out by Rolling Stone magazine to promote Marvel Comics. And there we have a John Romita cover back here, original artwork. This book has 472 pages. It retails for $44.99. Last but certainly not least is Deadpool, Black, White, and Blood. I have been enjoying the hell out of these. These are the Treasury editions. But these series like Wolverine and Carnage, and I think there's an Electro book that's coming out, they have been a blast to read. I love series like this. This is what I call a palate cleanser. If you're not into manga and don't want a quick read while you're in the middle of reading some Silver Age stuff or some dialogue-heavy books, and it doesn't have to necessarily be Silver Age. There's a lot of dialogue-heavy or heavy narration in current books, too. I think of The Last God, for example. I love that book. It was one of my top 10, but my gosh, did I need a break in between chapters sometimes. But I think books like this are completely perfect for that. Like taking a little break. Giving my brain a break. Not to say that there aren't some really good stories in here, because there are. So, first of all, I want to comment on this cover. I love the sound effects, the thwip thwip, because I asked myself, I'm like, thwip? What the hell? It doesn't sound like a sword going through dudes. And Deadpool himself is asking, thwip? I like that. That's the sound effect I always hear of Spider-Man flipping his web. Here are all your credits. The 4-issue miniseries is collected in here, 136 pages, $29.99. And it is oversized, so compared to the size of a trade paperback. So you kick off this story here. So this whole collection kicks off with this particular story by Tom Taylor and Phil Noto, during the time when Tom Taylor was writing All New Wolverine. So it's a team up between Deadpool and Honey Badger. And they're actually using these zombie lab animals that they used in the main series. You have different creators in here. This one here, I believe, is Whilce Portacio, if I'm not mistaken. And it is written by Ed Brisson. And then you have a James Stokoe. I was just talking about this guy when I did my haul, how much I enjoy his artwork. This is a story by him and drawn by him, and it features Omega Red teaming up with Deadpool's ridiculous ass. You have some Paco Medina artwork in here. You have some Pete Woods artwork in here. But I can't go through each one of these. I do want to talk about one particular story that just got me. This one here. This is Daniel Warren Johnson, and this is a artist that just has been on my radar since last year. And I know a lot of people have enjoyed his stuff, like Murder Falcon, and of course Wonder Woman Dead Earth, and I need to finish reading that. Oh my gosh, but his Beta Ray Bill, I'm serious, if I had a top 20 reads of last year, that would have been in my top 20. It was so phenomenal. But he writes this story of Deadpool that is just so near and dear to me. I love it because, you know, it goes back to Deadpool just hacking and slashing away dudes. And it's got his amazing kick-ass artwork. But there's a lot of heart in this because it's Deadpool talking to Daniel Warren Johnson. asking about the first time that he met Deadpool, and I thought, and you can find out for yourself, I thought that moment was really sweet. What happened when he talks about the first time he met Deadpool. Here's some more artwork. I believe that was Paco Medina. And, oh, there's actually a preview in here for a manga. Look, you even get Stan Sakai writing and drawing a Deadpool story. Where else are you going to find this? Well, I guess when it comes out in trade paperback format. But what I was going to say is there is an actual... Sorry, this is the Christopher Yost story. But there's an actual Samurai Deadpool. Yeah, right here. So, this is a Samurai Deadpool manga. And there's an actual manga that's being published by Viz that has this particular story all collected in there. And then you have Mike Allred's wonderful story back here in the back, tying it into his run on X-Force. Yeah, I said X-Force. I know it became Ecstatics later. And you have Laura Allred supplying the colors. And that's the cool thing about this series. Let's look at the variants first. Here's a Daniel Warren Johnson, a Stan Sakai variant. Dan Panosian, Salvador La Roca. And then you have Mike Allred and Laura Allred. The colors are always black, white, and red. So it works really well on some of the artists, more so than the others. For some reason, I don't know. Phil Noto's art didn't really work that well with these colors limitations. I don't know why. I really enjoy his stuff in the pages of Cable and the other stuff I've seen him work on. But for some reason in this, I don't know. Maybe he needs more colors. Not that Cable had a lot of colors, but it works on, just a lot of the other artists. I think Daniel Warren Johnson's freaking art looks stellar, or James Stokoe's artwork. Stan Sakai. Of course, Stan's used to working in black and white. I mean, all they're doing is just adding a little bit of red in there. The book retails for $29.99. It has 136 pages and collects all 4 issues of the miniseries. But that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing any of these books, don't forget to check out our sponsors. CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for brand new graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They pride themselves on packaging your books so they arrive safely in an excellent condition, as well as prompt and helpful service. Check out the bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. CGN is excited to announce that they are now taking pre-orders. They're making it easier for you to ensure that you don't miss out on the hottest releases. CGN is currently running a special promotion for your mentees. If you're a first-time customer, let them know that you were referred by Near Mint Condition at the checkout, and you'll receive a credit for free shipping on your next order. This promotion is valid for U.S. customers only. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount and quality shipping and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. If you live in Europe and are interested in pre-ordering or purchasing Omnis, then you should definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices for Marvel and DC big books within the EU. Flat shipping of €9.90 for EU countries, extremely careful and sturdy packaging, emails are answered within 24 hours, and they have a superb selection of new releases and out-of-print books on their website. Just head over to waltzcomicshop.com for more great deals and rare titles. And for a limited time, you can use the code NEARMINTCONDITION, all one word, at the checkout for free shipping to all EU countries with your first order. Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for Omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. And that was the content and page count of each of these collected editions. Let me know in the comments down below which ones you're picking up. If you're a fan of these treasury-sized edition books as much as I am, let me know in those comments down below. If you're getting Daredevil in epic format or are hoping one day they'll have an omnibus of all these stories. And Conan, this is the Dark Horse era. I'm wondering how you're picking it up. If you're hoping one day they'll do those in omnibus as well. This is the Uncanny Omar. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, ring that bell for notifications to let you know when our videos are going live. We are on Spreadshop and on Patreon. Amazing ways to support the channel if you can do so. And more importantly, everyone, stay healthy, stay safe, and much love.